Hello guys, welcome back to Basketball Unplugged. Perhaps the most talked about storyline in all of women's basketball this year has revolved around one name, Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever superstar had her entire 2025 season cut short, and for months, fans have held out hope that somehow, some way, she might make a miracle return in the playoffs. But according to a very clear assessment from Fever insider Scott Agnes, those hopes need to be put to rest. The update he gave on her injury recovery was about as bleak as it gets. It all started back on July 15th against the Connecticut Sun. In the closing seconds of what had already been a frustrating game, Clark pulled up lame, clutching at her groin. While the injury didn't appear catastrophic in the moment, it was immediately obvious that it would sideline her for some time. At first, the timetable seemed manageable. A couple of weeks off, maybe miss a handful of games, and then return in time for the playoff push. But things quickly snowballed in the wrong direction. By early August, fans were beginning to grow restless as Clark still hadn't suited up. Then came the real blow. On August 7th, during rehab, she suffered an ankle injury. This setback was the true turning point. What once looked like a brief pause suddenly became a season-ending reality. Week after week went by, and still no progress report suggested that a comeback was on the horizon. Finally, on September 4th, Clark herself ended the speculation by announcing via social media that her 2025 season was over after just 13 games played. Still, Fever fans, and especially Clark's diehard supporters, couldn't help but cling to optimism. After all, Indiana had pulled off a deep playoff run, advancing to the semifinals. And to make things even more complicated, video surfaced of Clark participating in pregame shootarounds. She was taking shots, moving around, and smiling with teammates. Naturally, this sparked rumors. Could number 22 actually make a surprise return if the Fever kept advancing? But according to Scott Agnes, that was nothing more than false hope. Appearing on Rachel Dida's Courtside Club podcast on September 25th, he shut down the speculation once and for all. She's not returning. Listen, she is not returning. Period. Agnes explained that while Clark has been able to shoot for months, which is why fans saw those workout clips floating around, her ankle still isn't right. He pointed out that she was still favoring her left side and not running smoothly. Shooting drills and game-level explosiveness are two very different things. The reality is simple. Caitlin Clark is not coming back for these playoffs. The Fever's focus now has to stay on the players who are actually out there grinding every night, trying to push Indiana through this series. The good news? Clark now has an entire offseason to fully recover and get ready for 2026. The bad news? Even now, months later, that ankle still doesn't appear fully healed, leaving lingering questions about her long-term durability. Well, here we are. The WNBA semifinals between the Fever and the Aces officially shift back to Indianapolis this weekend for two huge games. Wednesday was a travel day for both squads, but for Indiana, things didn't exactly go according to plan. Honestly, it feels like this season has been cursed with bad luck from start to finish. The Fever were supposed to head out right after Game 2 in Las Vegas. Instead, mechanical issues with their plane forced the team to stay overnight, and they didn't touch down in Indy until close to 7 a.m. Not exactly the kind of rest and recovery you'd want heading into the most critical stretch of the year. Fast forward to this afternoon. The Fever finally hit the main court inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse to prep for Game 3. With the series tied at 1-1, energy was high, but the injury list keeps growing. Lexi Hull was there, but had a wrap around her waist for extra warmth as she continues battling nagging issues. Given the screens she's been smashing into and all the hustle plays she makes, it's no surprise her body is banged up. She was held out of practice as a precaution and didn't even join the half-court shooting contest afterward, which tells you plenty. Odyssey Sims also raised concerns. Trainers checked her right knee, which was taped as usual, but she definitely looked uncomfortable at times. She was spectacular in Game 2, dropping a team-high 18 points, so maybe it's nothing. But it's one more question mark added to the pile. And then there's Damiris Dantas. She was completely absent from practice again. Coach Stephanie White confirmed there's no new update. She's still in concussion protocol, after that scare a couple weeks back and didn't even make the trip to Vegas. Her absence hurts big time, both defensively, with her size, and offensively with her ability to stretch the floor and hit threes. On a lighter note, the post-practice half-court contest turned into a fun family moment. Karima Christmas Kelly and Austin Kelly both knocked down their shots, winning prize money for Sophie Cunningham and Ari McDonald. A brief bit of joy after what's been a draining few days. Still, the bottom line is clear. Friday night is everything. The Fever stole Game 1 and still hold home court advantage. Now it's about protecting it in front of their fans at Gainbridge. Decorations are up, banners are hanging, and both squads are locked in. During media availability, Coach Stephanie White didn't sugarcoat things. She said Game 1 and Game 2 required completely different levels of intensity, and Indiana simply didn't meet Vegas's physicality in Game 2. Turnovers were costly, 28 points allowed off giveaways, and the Fever looked flat. Every game requires a different version of ourselves. Every game is heightened intensity. Most of our group hasn't been through this before, White said. She emphasized urgency, execution, and consistency. Vegas has been here before, the Fever are still learning. White stressed that the Fever have to withstand those punches in the mouth without letting them snowball into big runs. As for adjustments, she pointed out that the Fever missed chances to push tempo. Even after made baskets, they slowed the ball down instead of running. And when it came to Kelsey Mitchell, White admitted fatigue may have been a factor, but also highlighted poor spacing. With so many shooters sidelined, Mitchell is facing tougher defensive pressure. The key, White said, is moving her around more and getting her touches deeper into possessions. On the bigger picture, White acknowledged the home court advantage is less about the arena and more about rest, routine, and the energy of the fans. And then, of course, there's the Aces superstar A'ja Wilson. White compared her competitive fire to Tamika Catchings, praising her relentless will to win, her versatility, and her ability to force mismatches all over the floor. At the end of the day, this series is shaping up to be a grind. The Fever are banged up, their superstar Caitlin Clark is still sidelined, and the Aces are playing like defending champs. But with the series tied and the next 2 games in Indy, the stage is set. Game 3 is going to tell us everything we need to know.